Yeah, oh, there you are. So I was trying to listen to my radio. It's one of these little solar-powered radios which I keep beside my bed and listen to it every morning. On the top of it, it's got these little solar cells here, and they allow it to charge up. This is actually one of those clever ones which takes either batteries or mains or even a little dynamo, but solar-powered, and there's a lot of things out there which are solar-powered. This is a calculator I use every day of my life. There must be dozens and dozens of items which nowadays are powered by solar energy, and this is just one of two. I started to think what toys are driven by solar power, and it came across as three different categories. One is ones which rely on the ultraviolet light, which is these ones here. One is the visible light, which is this bunch of toys here, and a couple over there require the infrared, the heat from there. So let's look at the first section. So when you're thinking solar toys, think about which part of the spectrum it's required. So this is a t-shirt which, when it's in the sunlight, colours up quite nicely, and this jewellery I'll do as well. These beads. I think it's a fairly recent invention, this, because I think 30 years ago I didn't come across any solar-powered toys which required ultraviolet light. Just light, yes, but not ultraviolet light. And these ones, some sort of chemical they've invented which responds to ultraviolet light, and then it colours up quite nicely. So the second section is visible light. White light. There's quite a number of toys in this field, but I've brought two along to show you. One is our friend Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, and another one is just a little swinging sign. What I like about these is they're both very modern toys. They're only less than a year old, and they both work extremely well because the technology has been moving on all the time. So almost minimum amount of sunlight or daylight or even just room light will make them operate like this very nicely indeed. By contrast, there's a little kit I made up just recently which requires quite a lot of light, more than I can do here, and it's going to be operating this heliotrope. So for this I've got something really quite formidable. It's a large lamp, but this is strong, so let's have a go. This is powerful. So if I light up the solar cell here, let's see what effort I can do. I might need to give a little encouragement to the heliotrope to get it started. There we go. It's going quite fast, so if I bring it back a little bit, it'll slow it down a bit. So this is a heliotrope kit, which I had great fun making. There's about 7 or 8 different strips, but everything there is made of cardboard, and I put it all together with glue. This one, it's not a glueless one, it's with glue, but it was easy to make, clear instructions, and I ended up with a very nice solar-powered heliotrope. A beauty that, very nicely done. And then there's some very old ideas. This is going back, 1,000 years or more. I thought of a solar toy, but it's really a sort of device. This is a magic mirror from China, invented probably about, 1,000 years ago. It's definitely a mirror because I can see the camera and you can see me. There's nothing on it, there's nothing in it, and yet when I light it, with sunlight would be the best, but I've cheated slightly by having what they call a collimated light torch here. When I light it up, you'll see reflected on this white screen a picture of Buddha. It's a very nice, happy Buddha. Look at this. He's got a bit of blotch in his forehead, which I can clean up, but there we are. So it's a bit of Chinese magic invented probably about 1,000 years ago. I don't think they were thinking of solar toys in those days, but it's a nice demonstration of it. A beauty. And then, more serious stuff, I suppose, is a signalling lamp, which is a heliotrope. I've had this for some time. Look at it, a wonderful old canvas bag. Very old instrument, this, but it worked on the sunlight. It needed sun. And the idea was you stood on one side of a valley. This is a century or two ago, before they even had radio. And you got this little device here, and you lined it up with your friend who's over on the other side of the valley, and lined up through the hole there, and when you saw him, you then, with the sun coming down and hitting it, reflected, and the effect was that he would see a flash of light there, and then when I moved it back and forward like that, exactly out of focus, I could send a signal like ... dash, dot, SOS or something. So providing you knew Morse code, this was a very, very helpful little instrument, but powered by the sun. Nice one. So the last section is the part of the sun spectrum which is infrared and relies on heat rather than light. And here's an old one which I showed not that long ago, which was a cigarette lighter. And what you need to do is make sure that there's a nice strong sun. You get a cigarette. I've got one here which I'll just pretend to put in like that. And there's a focal point, because that's a nice little parabolic mirror. And when you get it just in the right point, you get the solar energy focused at the tip of the cigarette there. And it will then light the cigarette. Some of you who are observant will probably see it's not a real cigarette, is it? What is it? It's, well, all right, it's a bit peculiar. It's a cigarette lighter. I'm trying to light a cigarette lighter with a... I got their point, I think. So anyway, that needs solar energy, but it needs the infrared source of it. The most extravagant version I've ever seen of this, which I'd love to have, but it costs thousands of pounds, is this one made by a French artist, which is made of nitinol type metal. A complete sculpture which you put on your patio of your chateau in the south of France. When the sun came up, it would spring to life. Well, not literally, because it takes half an hour to do it. But the mother would slowly rise up in the air, all made of special wire, which responds to the heat of the sun, holding up her baby, and rather like 5,000 or 10,000 years ago, she's offering her little baby to the sun god for a blessing, invoking a blessing. And as the sun goes down in the evening, she slowly sinks back to the ground again and stays crouched for the night hours, and then the next day it repeats itself. What a beautiful object. I can show you something like that going on here with this little device here, which is, again, it's solar powered, but it's only heat it needs. Now the trouble is, if you put this in the sun, it would work, but it would take about half an hour to warm up enough to be able to perform. So we have to cheat slightly by heating it with just a gust of hot air, which will help it to move very fast. Each of these is made of what they call SMAs, which respond to heat. But it's the infrared part of the sun. This is what happens. So over a period of about half an hour or so, the sun would have that effect on this flower and would come up and open beautifully. Look at this. Superb. And then when the sun went behind the clouds, or in the evening when the sun went down, it would then all fold up again and repeat itself the following night. Very nice idea, that. Beautifully done, beautifully executed. So it seems to me that sunlight is a pretty important stuff. I think in order to be able to live on Earth, we've got to have plenty of sunlight. This is a movie globe, you'll probably recognise it. And when that's operated by the sun, it will keep gently turning round and round and round, reminding us the whole planet Earth requires the sun and the sunlight to make it work. I feel to make my life complete with toys, I've got to find a few more solar-powered toys as well. Perhaps you can help. What do you think? Any ideas? Think solar.